We welcome in your partner over at the King's Beat. He's with the King's Herald. He's with the King's Pulse. He's probably with the King's Court. He's probably with anything involving the Kings. Brenden is a part of it. We welcome in Brenden Nunes. Brenden, I've been anxious all day to ask you, how are your emotions today? Tyrese Halliburton, your guy, the first player that you really had like a connection with, like he's back. He's back in Sacramento tonight, and I'm curious how your emotions are doing.
I mean, I'm definitely excited to see how it goes. Thanks for having me on, by the way, guys. First of all, always good talking to the both of you. I'm excited for the game. I think that obviously Tyrese is a turn. They all try to downplay it a little bit. We got to talk to Domas, Tyrese, and Buddy this morning at shoot around, and all of them say it's just another game, but I'm not buying it. I think it's something that, probably helps to tell themselves that to keep them calm and not do too much. But I'm excited, man. I think that the back and forth of Fox and Tyrese should be fun, and you throw Davion in there too. There's a lot of storylines I think that also are maybe getting a little overshadowed, like Miles Turner and Sabonis going back and forth for the first time. We also get Keegan Murray and Benedict Mathurin, I think is an interesting matchup. So I'm definitely excited to see Tyrese again. I enjoy watching him play basketball as much as anything. And I think tonight should be a fun one.
I do want to point out, James, before you jump in there, he's excited to see Tyrese. He's not excited to see Buddy because he gets to see Buddy every day, as there is a Buddy Hield cutout directly behind him.
Oh, no, that's Jemias. That's our friend Jemias.
Is Jemias Ramsey.
Oh, it is. I guess I need a different prescription of glasses. I thought that was.
Well, I know that because he's usually in the background. Jemias is always watching.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
that is a collectible unlike any other. A Jemias Ramsey cutout.
My Robert Woodard one is tucked away somewhere too.
Probably collecting fouls.
Yeah.
Lifting weights, collecting fouls.
Probably.
Playing the bass guitar.
That Bob Woodard cutout is about 275 pounds right now.
Yeah. He's still playing I think he's playing in the G League.
Good for him.
I think he's on Austin Spurs, and I think Jemias is on the OKC Blue.
All right. Brenden, you got to spend some time. I had to bolt. I didn't get to go talk to Buddy and Tyrese. Just what was the feel? Because I saw a lot of like straight face and like we're just here to. But like overall, what was your feel? And how were you greeted by Tyrese? Was he like when the cameras weren't rolling? Was he cool with you guys?
Yeah, he kind of said hi to everybody that was there. I asked him how he thinks he's progressed on defense since his time in SAC and got a little chuckle out of him there. I think at first him, Domas, and Buddy all were, like you said, kind of straight-faced and just downplaying it as if it's just another game. But I think as kind of the conversation went on, that you started to see, obviously, there is a little bit more for some of these guys. I think that they both are just enjoying being back in the city that they spent a lot of time in. I think they had the day off yesterday and both kind of hung out with some people here. Tyrese said he had dinner with Harrison Barnes and Chimezie Metu and a handful of other people as well. So I think that they're enjoying kind of just being back in an area, their old stomping grounds. And, there's feelings about being traded, but getting the typical, there's nothing I could have done about it, and just focusing on getting wins here now. So it actually wasn't quite as much of a, like, I thought there would be jokes or maybe some jabs from Tyrese, and we didn't really get much of that. So kind of downplaying it, but I'm not really buying it.
That's on the next episode of the JJ Redick podcast.
Right.
He'll make it. Okay. So I'll just say this. So everyone's lying except Harrison. Harrison's the only one who has absolutely nothing to do with this deal whatsoever. He's the only one being honest about it. That's fine. Just remember that. All these straight face, it's just another game. It's basketball. You could tell this was a talking point in the Pacers locker room because Tyrese and Buddy said the same exact thing, damn near verbatim. Oh, it's basketball. We're just here to play basketball. Meanwhile, the day before, Harrison is like, yeah, we know what time it is. Like, we know what's going on. Yeah, of course this isn't just another game. But Brenden, the thing we were pointing out is you take the Pacer stuff out of it, the Tyrese stuff out of it, the Buddy stuff out of it. This is a game. You want to break it down to what Tyrese and Buddy were talking about? This is a basketball game. This is a basketball game because of where the Kings are in their season that they need to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've kind of been one to understand these last 3 losses. Like, I think that obviously the second night of a back-to-back when you're going from Memphis to Atlanta, I thought they looked really tired outside of Malik and Trey Lyles. And I think that that's not a coincidence considering those 2 guys didn't play much the night before in Memphis. And then Boston and Phoenix, I mean, that's the 2 best teams in their respective conferences. So as much as, you know, obviously would have loved for Sacramento to come out on top on some of those games, I think they were competitive, and those are ones I'm willing to accept is, you know, just a little reality check from that 7-game win streak of, you know, we're not talking about a contending team here. I think they're good, but they don't match up with a Boston and Phoenix as of right now. And on the right night, maybe they can, but it wasn't those nights. When it comes to Indiana, they've played a lot better than people expected, obviously, throughout the course of this year, 12-8. But I think that this is still a team that the Kings should be better than. I think Miles Turner is typically the type of guy that Sabonis does well against. I think James was mentioning this yesterday. I think like the more shot blocking guys that don't have that much weight on them, Domas usually does a pretty good job of being aggressive. And that was one of the things he mentioned today is, I think it was you, James, that asked him about being more aggressive. If that's something he's looking to do. And he acknowledged that he is. So I think it's one of these matchups where the Kings really got to get out of this. I don't even know if I want to call it a slump because, like I said, they're playing good teams, but I guess it could fall into a slump if this gets to 4 with a loss to Indiana. So it's even outside of all the storylines, and there's a handful of them, like we talked about. Like you're saying, it's a pretty big game for both teams.
Brenden, what's your prediction on how they'll be received tonight, Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton? Do you think it'll be universal between the two? Do you think one will hear louder cheers or louder boos than the other? Like, what's sort of your gauge?
I think that Tyrese gets cheered. That one I don't have very many questions about, and maybe I'm wrong for that. I know Tyrese has had a lot of comments, and there's definitely people that feel a type of way about that, but I tend to kind of think that's a little bit more vocal minority, and everything we see on Twitter isn't the same as everybody that's in the stadium, as I've kind of come to notice more and more. So I think that Tyrese would get a nice ovation, and I would imagine that Buddy does the same. I think that maybe people soured on Buddy a little bit more so towards the end of his tenure in Sacramento. Maybe those last 2 years, he had a couple moments that people didn't love. And I think it just got he was a little agitating to watch sometimes. And I think I understand that. But I would still imagine a guy that spent that much time in Sacramento would get cheers. Yeah, I mean, are you expecting both these guys to get cheers, James?
I think both should. I asked Damian earlier if you think there'll be tribute videos, and he but I mean, Buddy Hield is the all-time leader in 3-point makes for this team.
It's great,
more than Peja Stojakovic.
It's great.
He spent like 5.5 seasons here, right? Is that what it was?
It's fine.
He aged 7.5 seasons.
He went from 5 years to 6 years just in the clip that we played earlier. I have no clue now how long Buddy was here for.
Okay, he's part of the 2016 trade, so 17. Yeah, 6.5 years, I think.
Okay.
Roughly.
He seemed to be unsure. That's fine. I don't care. I don't. Whatever's running through your mind right now, I don't care. He does not need a tribute video.
I'm expecting a tribute video.
I would too, actually. Like
James
is saying,
you two are ridiculous.
League leader in franchise threes.
If the Kings don't do it, I'm sure Leo will do it.
I don't have. I've got. I'm not doing. I got nothing. I got nothing. I'm not going to war with every media member.
He's already got his. He's like stretching out over here. He's ready to go to war tonight. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Damn, James.
That's a long time to spend with a team, man. I think he's going to get a tribute video. I'm just saying.
All right. Fine. A freaking tribute video. For goodness sakes. What's in the video?
I don't know.
Buddy ball call game?
Yeah.
Still no explanation as to what the hell that means, but it's fine. You got that. You got the shot in Detroit.
Run, buddy, run. It's such a great call. I love it though. I don't know if it makes sense, but I don't care.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Run,
it's very
buddy,
catchy.
run.
And it's very easy to remember.
Yes.
What else is on this video? 3-point contest?
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
you get that. Yeah.
There's another game winner tip in Denver, I believe.
Isn't that the buddy ball call game? Isn't that the tip in?
I don't know. I hope they at least,
Might be.
I hope they at least have them saying it'd be like that sometimes.
Oh.
At least once.
All right.
Facts.
Maybe a tribute video of that. Yeah,
Facts.
that'll happen. Are they flashing the Halloween picture up on the screen?
No. Jason will turn his computer around and just show it off.
For the crowd.
Show everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Boy, that got out of hand quickly.
Maybe.
Damien, are you someone that's unsure of Buddy's reception?
No, because I'm with you. And I'll point this out. You know, you own your things that you're just wrong about. I didn't think Marvin was going to get booed. And I thought the crowd, I didn't think the crowd was going to be indifferent, but I didn't think they were going to boo him when he touched the ball. That felt excessive. And my rationale behind that was always, and I'm so sorry. I don't mean to diminish the young man this way. I was just like, wasn't that important to this? Like, it's a missed draft pick. Like, I understand that, but like, this isn't Kevin Durant. This isn't LeBron James. This isn't, you're going to focus your attention for an entire game on Marvin?
I was surprised by that.
I didn't think that would be the case. I don't think Tyrese or Buddy gets booed. I think there will be boos. There will be people or pockets of people who do, but I think you'll have to work really hard to notice them. At the same time, I don't think it'll be a rousing ovation. I think they'll get applauded. And then you keep it moving. And then I think I could see Buddy turning the ball over and the Golden One Center erupting. That could be the loudest cheer of the night. If Buddy sends a pass, you know, into Kings Row 2, I think the Golden One Center will pop for that more than anything else in the starting lineup.
Okay. But, you know, I think if
I will boo a tribute video, though. Let that be clear. If Scott Moak says, I'd like to direct your attention to
booing.
Oh, that will be. They say no cheering in the press box. Well, that's fine. I'll boo in the press box.
That's amazing.
Are you surprised by how quickly Tyrese has ascended in Indiana?
Somewhat, but I think there were a lot of signs of it during his last stretch with the Kings too. You know, De'Aaron went out for a while. He was putting up big numbers. I do think also it was probably really good for Tyrese to get moved to Indiana, because one of the big skepticisms with him when it came to his ceiling, I thought, was just there were games where he was passive, like you're saying, single-digit shot attempts. And I think when you're thrust into a role where you're asked to be the guy, and there's no questions about that, that it kind of helped him expand out of that a bit. So I think maybe how quickly it's come along in terms of their team success with Tyrese being the best guy has been surprising. But the extent of how quick Tyrese has put it together. But I think there were a lot of flashes towards the end of his tenure in SAC where you could see that, okay, this guy probably is going to be an all-star at some point.
Yeah, this year.
Maybe.
He's going to be an all-star this year.
Probably.
I mean, he's leading the league in assists.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could see, though, if they roll into the All-Star break, you know, 8, 9, 10 games under 500, then
I don't think that's happening, though. I don't think that's happening.
I'm not sure. You know, again, I didn't think it was going to happen that the Utah Jazz would collapse like this.
So do you think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander makes it?
Oh, he's going to have a shot.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like Oklahoma City, they might be 8 or 9 games below 500 or more. He's going to make the All-Star team. It's going to
be tough, though. It's going to be tough.
All right.
I mean, statistically, does he deserve it? Sure. But, like, you got to win games at some point.
I think he's the most beloved player on the planet right now. They're going to get Tyrese in the All-Star game. If for no other reason, well, let's stick it to the Kings and put Tyrese in there. We couldn't give De'Aaron Fox Player of the Week without giving it to Tyrese Halliburton, too. So, it would be great. If the NBA really wants to build this up as a WrestleMania main event, put them both in the All-Star game. De'Aaron for the Kings, which both have a very likelihood of happening, or both have a strong chance of happening. I think Tyrese is very, very likely. I think De'Aaron obviously has to pick it up a little bit, but he's got a chance this year as well. They both hit the All-Star game. Hey, look at how great this trade worked out for everybody.
I think today's a pretty big game for De'Aaron too, and that goes beyond it being Indiana. I think this could be a handful of different teams right here, and I'd feel the same way. But he's been in a little bit of a slump. He was limited at practice the other day just for general aches and pains or general soreness, for a quick Jimmy Butler shout out. I think that this is he kind of needs to have another night like what we had seen, and this not to be an extended slump, and that it was just a tough road trip. He was kind of getting beat up. So I think it's a pretty big night for De'Aaron, not only to go against Tyrese, but to kind of get out of this slump and show that it's not going to keep extending.
Brenden, I want to ask, what do you think Davion, he's got to be licking his chops, because him and Ty have this little battle behind this, like a fun battle. They were like brothers, like going into the All-Star, getting ready for All-Star weekend last year, where they're going to, play in the rookie sophomore game. But then of course the trade happens right at the last second. What do you think he'll do against both Buddy and Ty out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's big to know someone's tendencies. I think that was one of the things that Ty mentioned is, the offense is super different. They did a lot of spread pick and roll when he was here in Sacramento. So the offense is very different. It's not like they're going in knowing each other's schemes, but I think there is an advantage to knowing guys' tendencies. And I think Davion specifically as a defender, having that insight into these guys and just how aggressive he is and so much of a ball hound. Like if he gets assigned to Buddy, to me, that's a couple turnovers right there. We'll see what happens with Ty. Ty does a pretty good job of taking care of the ball. But I think that he's totally going to be hounding these guys. I think that Davion's been playing really well recently. I was a little surprised he got pulled at the end of that Phoenix game. He was doing the best job, I thought, on Booker, covering anyone. So I think that Davion's been playing well, and knowing the tendencies of those guys that you're probably going to be assigned against, I think would be a pretty decent advantage for somebody that studies and prepares in the way he does.
Studying and preparing, I want to shift back, if you don't mind, for a second to De'Aaron Fox, because you had an opportunity to talk to Luke Laux recently for a piece you did over at the King's Herald. And Luke has been credited greatly with what we've seen from De'Aaron Fox this season. What were your takeaways from your conversation with Coach Luke Laux?
Yeah, Luke was great. Super easy to interact with, and was more than happy to talk to me and did all the heavy lifting from there. I think that the big things for De'Aaron are one of the first standouts to me was him talking about growing a trust in everybody next to him. And Luke said that Steve Kerr had a saying that he used to always say to KD, that the ball finds the best players. And Coach Laux said that he didn't think that De'Aaron believed that because it hadn't in years prior. And I think that coming to believe that now and trusting all the guys next to you and just the offensive scheme that's in place. And obviously that's why that 7-game win streak was also so big. I think just helping with the buy-in and seeing the vision that the coaching staff has laid out, that it does a good job, of my mind, optimizing all of these guys. But then the specifics of De'Aaron's jumper, like we're seeing guys go over screens now, which is just a testament to how well he's been knocking down shots this year. And that opens up everything for him. And there were 3 main things that they wanted to focus on throughout the course of this offseason. De'Aaron already knew he wanted to work on his jumper, was trying to coordinate with the previous staff and figure out who was going to be left over so they could get out to San Diego and start working with them. And then once Coach Laux was brought onto the staff pretty quick, he and Jordy Fernandez were, I believe, the first 2 calls for Mike Brown. Laux comes over and gets assigned to De'Aaron, and the 3 focuses were shot selection. De'Aaron's got the most wide open attempts, which is a defender not within 6 feet by about 9%, I think it was, of his total attempts. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but he's getting a lot of open looks, and that's a credit to everything else as well. All the changes around him, coaching staff, players, Sabonis is obviously a really big part in that. But I think that he's being more conscientious of taking good shots and not feeling like he needs to force as often. And the 2 specifics of his form are holding his follow through and then his balance. Coach Laux was saying that he often felt like De'Aaron was jumping backwards or leaning backwards on his jumpers, and naturally should be leaning forward. And that, combined with the not following through, led to shot being a little flat sometimes and the arc not being there. So I think just countless reps that they've put in of form shooting and getting used to, playing with the style of Sabonis of a hit and hand back sort of thing. So it's just a lot of reps. And I think it's big credits to Coach Laux, obviously, and De'Aaron for going through that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a really great piece.
It was, Brenden.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone.
We didn't even talk about it on the podcast. I don't even know. We just ignored your piece on the podcast and, focused more on movies you haven't seen and apologies.
Hot dog, condiments, and yeah.
Yeah, you seem to have a weird nickname that I'm not confident should make the radio.
I'd rather not call it my nickname,
He's got a nickname.
Well, I thought, okay, all right. But I don't know what goes over. It's like the Kings beat after dark over there. I don't know what's going on there.
I've been trying to stick with HBK, but apparently this other one is more catchy. I don't know.
Oh, we've had Brendy Bear. Now we've got this new one.
Oh, we're going through them.
Well, we got this new one. We'll just let that one live on.
Leave that one there.
We'll just let that one live on youtube.com/ESPN1320. That one can live in the chatty house. Overall, are you, I assume, you happy with the way the Kings have played so far, or do you feel like they've left a couple out there?
Yeah, I've been happy. I mean, I think that figuring out what the ceiling of this team is has kind of been an up and down ride throughout the course of this. I think that their offenses look phenomenal, and I'm still kind of feeling like these last 3 games are outlier shooting, but I could very quickly be proven wrong, because how many outliers can you have in a row until that word just does not fit anymore? I think that they're a good shooting team, but I hope that sticks around. But I think that as much as we've seen the offense be proven, I think that we've also seen substantial moments of the defense being still really bad. Like, there's a lot of progress that needs to be made there. I keep going back to the last year's Atlanta team that was second in offense and still bottom 5 in defense. They ended with, I want to say it's 43, 44 wins, 9th in the East. They win the play-in and then go on to lose 4-1 in the first round. Like, in my mind, that's still kind of what we're talking about here. But there's a chance that the defense continues to take steps up. But I think that with the way that this roster is constructed, it's difficult in my mind to see them being out of the top 10, but that's the big X factor to me right now.
Yeah. Everything seems to be rolling. Like they've hit a little bit of a, I don't know, speed bump here in the last 3 games. But like, you've seen the players, it does look like this, and it feels like it's just a momentary, the team ran themselves into the ground, right? That's what it kind of, and the schedule kind of got them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, Boston is the best team in the East. Phoenix is the best team in the West. And I think that in itself, like, if at the beginning of the year that you said the Kings were going to go down to the wire against the Suns and be competitive for 3 quarters against the Celtics, like, I think that's really all you can ask. I think that it's typical, just a team that is still, I guess, found their identity, but working to continue to establish that and maintain it. And I think that when you're against tough defenses like that, Boston specifically, like, switched a lot, and they just kind of got out of the flow of their offense. I don't know if guys are just tired or beat up, or in that process, as you're kind of getting more and more mentally exhausted, that you start to go away from what was working. But like, when Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser on the floor, and De'Aaron and Domas can't take advantage of that, that was a little bit concerning. But I think that they're playing well. I think that the spirits, to your point, James, still seem pretty high around the team. I don't think there's anything really to be concerned about. But if you lose tonight to Indiana, I think that maybe my concerns start to grow a little bit more.
Who do you think Kings win tonight? Who has the best game? Who's the reason that they won?
Probably Domas. I would say, again, I don't think that Miles Turner is a great matchup on him. Obviously, they have experience playing against one another, so I could be totally off on that. But to me, this is the type of night that Domas can really take advantage of. And, it really could be De'Aaron as well. But between the two of them, I would definitely lean Domas, because I think that's a pretty favorable matchup there. I also am kind of feeling like on the other end that Buddy Hield might have a big day. I think that he's
going to try.
He's going to shoot a lot. So it's either going to be a mess or he's going to go crazy.
Yeah, I think Buddy is absolutely going to try to have himself a night. Brenden, great work as always at the King's Herald and with the King's Beat. Great work here with us. We appreciate you, my man. We'll see you at the arena.
Appreciate you.